And now to our interview segment. My guest, Boma Ozobia, is a cross-border lawyer qualified to practice law in Nigeria and in the United Kingdom. She was on the board of the trustees of the Royal Commonwealth Society and served as president of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association between 2011 and 2013, the first woman president in the over 50-year history of the Association of Lawyers from 54 countries. She also served as the chairwoman of the Association of Women Solicitors of England and Wales between 2005 and 2006. Boma is passionate about replicating global standards in the Nigerian legal system. Here is our chart. Let's start with your assessment of the government's fight against corruption and how well the judiciary has played its role in that fight.
Well, it's early days, but already you know where it's going, because the aspects of what we need to make it successful, do we have all the key things in place? And from my perspective, we don't. There is certainly a will to fight corruption. There's no doubting the will of at least the current leader of this government, the president of Nigeria, and many working with him. However, will is one thing. I mean, if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. We also have to put in place the infrastructure to take that from a wish to reality. And I'm afraid, as far as the judiciary is concerned, that infrastructure is simply not in place. The budget for the judiciary this year, and I've said that before, it is woefully inadequate. It is disgraceful, to put it bluntly, because you cannot expect them to fight corruption when they've not been equipped. They need research materials, they need support, as in assistance, they need proper storage, they need, for instance, a centralized case reporting system. None of that is in place. People tend to think that the judiciary is all about the judges. They forget the judges are only one part of the puzzle. It's a whole system. And if the system fails, the judges fail. Right now, the system is failing the judges and failing Nigerians. And we need to understand that. Don't lay the blame on the door of the judges. The judiciary has to be properly supported as in the justice system. And the budget comes from the National Assembly and the executive. So without that support, the system will fail, regardless of how good the individual judges are.
But how can the judiciary attract better funding?
They need to be more ambitious in their requests, because knowing what you need, put it on the table, and then allow us to advocate for the system, because we understand what our system needs. We are officers in the court of justice. And the lawyers are everywhere. We're in the National Assembly, we are in the executive, and we're practicing. We can then help others to understand how important it is to fund the judiciary and to ensure that that funding takes the same level of priority as the funding you give to education, to health, to other infrastructure. Because without a working justice system, you cannot have a civilized society. Neither can you properly fight corruption with all the will in the world.
On the part of government, what do you think about their compliance with the rule of law, especially in the area of upholding the rights of the accused persons? Because this was one of the issues that the body of senior advocates of Nigeria raised at their just concluded meeting.
From my observation so far, I would say largely government has been taking every possible step to err on the side of caution and prosecute these cases in accordance with the rule of law. There's no question that there'll be disputes as to certain procedural aspects of it, and that's what we're seeing arise in the pages of the paper. Counsel on this side feels perhaps it should be done this way. Counsel on the other side feels perhaps it shouldn't. But generally, they've been charged to court within a reasonable time from when they're arrested. I actually see a pleasing trend from what used to happen previously when compared to now, where they appear to have been more thorough in their investigation before they actually go out to pick up people. Previously we had a situation where you're suspected of doing something, they pick you up and they then begin investigating afterwards. That seems to be changing. Yes, some of the accused are not meeting their bail conditions in good time, but that you won't put the fault at the door of the prosecutor or the government. So I would say generally they're doing well.
What about the issues of rearrest after one court has granted bail?
Well, so far, from what I have seen and from what is reported, they're being arrested on different charges. And you cannot say, because I have caught you with your hand in the till on this occasion, and you've been charged to court on this occasion, then if I catch you with 10 other possible offenses, I should not investigate it. I should do nothing about it because you've been granted bail on the first. That is ridiculous, and it just would make a nonsense of law enforcement.
There's a growing trend now of allegations of bias against some of our judges. The National Judicial Council has received and still continues to receive petitions against some of our judges. Are the petitions a reflection of the quality of our judges or the quality of our judicial system?
It saddens me, quite honestly, with, as you say, this growing trend, because dispassionate review of these petitions, you find that majority are baseless and frivolous. Indeed, the former CJN, Justice Aluma Mukhtar, said, she gave the statistics upon her assumption of office. More than 2/3 of the petitions against the judges were frivolous and baseless. Following on from that, about a year or so later, when she reviewed the petitions that had come in, let's say there were 150, approximately 100 were baseless, frivolous, not even worth considering. And sadly, a lot of these petitions are written for these litigants by their lawyers. And my question is, do you advise them? And do you then, or is this a tool for delaying the proceedings? Because the rules are clear. The basis for a petition, a successful petition, is clear. So why then, embark on this path if you know that it will not get you anywhere, except there's an ulterior motive? So it's sad. It should, we really ought to find a way to find a balance, because it in turn can make the judges begin to be overcautious in their approach to things. I mean, recently it was reported that a judge, not even a petition, a report in some online publication was sufficient for the judge to recuse himself. That is unacceptable. And having said that, generally, I can come closer to home. There's a petition currently trending, as the youngsters like to say, in the papers, involving my classmates of the class of 88. The petitioner is a class of 88, Nigerian Law School. The judge before whom this petitioner is appearing is a member of the class of 88. I am a member of the class of 88. Professor Dinkalu, who has made a statement or been reported to make a statement on the issue, is a member of the class of 88. Now, it's been alleged, this gentleman was a member of my class, and as a result of that, I don't know, but the fact that we're classmates and whether he knew him or not appears to be an issue. And I don't see why that's an issue in the first place. I have just mentioned 4 of my classmates, none of whom I knew, or 3 rather, none of whom I knew in the Nigerian law school. I only got to know them later. And in our class, I think we must have at least 30 or more judges that I'm aware of. I can't name 4 or 5 of them. Well, for 1,000, we had 2 sets, morning and afternoon. We barely, if you knew 100 people in the Nigerian law school, you'd done well, because you tend to move with your ecosystem. So how this is an issue for a petition, I don't know. But those who have the job of deciding the petitions will decide them. And I have no doubt there were other, there's more meat to it. It can't just be the fact that we're classmates. But it's, yes, in answer to your question, I really think that we should think carefully before we put pen to paper to begin to write petitions against judges. It goes beyond our immediate case. It goes to the bigger picture of confidence in the judiciary and the justice system. We are already in a situation where, because of the delays and other weaknesses with our system, we're having more and more issue, of self-help. Look at the Agatu crisis. That arose from a pending, unresolved issue and has resulted to self-help and the death of over 300 people. So we have to think carefully. What we see as one little thing impacts, it's chipping away at the foundation, and then we end up in a jungle.
Let's end with the role of lawyers in the war against graft. What role should all lawyers play generally?
Well, without a doubt, and let's not make any mistakes about this, we have a duty to advocate the litigants and our clients' position to the best of our ability within the law. That's our duty, that's our role. We also have an equal duty to ensure that we assist the court as officers of the court. Therefore, we do not delay things. We ensure that we file processes on time. We do not use our knowledge of the justice system to impede the cause of justice when we feel we have a weak case. We tell our clients the position and we stick to it. So yes, there is a perception that second duty we have, we tend to forget it, and other times not even just forget it, but actively work in contradiction to that. So it's important that we bear in mind our ethical obligations as members of the legal profession in what we do, because perception is reality. However, we try to justify some of the things that we are seen to be doing when it's perceived as using our knowledge of the system to clog the wheels of justice. It's not good for the profession, it's not good for the justice system, it's not good for the society's confidence in us.
Are you satisfied with the mechanisms that the Nigerian Bar Association has in place for the discipline of lawyers?
I have been advocating a restructuring of the way this is done, because right now it's quite opaque for the, as we say, common man, Josephine Blogg, who is out on the street, who's not had satisfactory service from one of us. In order to actually achieve redress in terms of discipline for unethical conduct and so on, he or she will have to go to another lawyer, because the system is just not clear, it's so opaque. I also know that the NBA has been trying very hard, but let me give you some statistics so that you can see that we do need to try harder. We have perhaps about 100,000 lawyers practicing in Nigeria as we speak. I don't think we've achieved 100 disciplinary decisions in the past year.
Like 1/10?
That's 1%, isn't it? Yes, or less. So it's in it is nothing in comparison. South Africa, I don't like to give examples outside of Africa because then we say we're third world and they're first world and so on. But South Africa, I know for a fact because colleagues that are personal friends are involved in this work, on average between 40 and 50 a month. So that just puts it in perspective. We do need to do more to hold ourselves to account before society finds other ways of holding us to account. We're a self-regulatory profession, and so we have to do so to a higher standard.
The Nigerian Bar Association needs to rejig its disciplinary mechanisms. Lawyers must not use their knowledge of the law against the system, but must always uphold the ethics of the profession. The rising trend of alleging bias against judges without clear evidence is damaging to the judicial system, and the government can strengthen the system with better funding. These are a few suggestions made by my guest, Boma Ozobia. What do you think? Please feel free to write in and share your thoughts. If you missed any parts of the program, you can find it in past episodes on our YouTube channel. Do also interact with us via Facebook, email, or Twitter. I am Shola Shieli. Thank you for watching.